So he'll go out and convert GBP into Zimbabwean dollars. So £1 is equal to 442.92 Zimbabwean dollars.
Me, I think I should do it because I know what you like with numbers. Read out again.
442.92.
Right. Oh, I've got you. Fucking hell, they've done well getting that back down then.
I don't know what the last updated was the
that
19th.
That was £1.
Yeah. It was so this was last updated today. So see, I put my wage in, which is 1,700, like just ballpark figure about 1,700. 752,966.
Read and find out how much your property is.
Property in Zimbabwe. Rent and buy real estate. Property.co.zw. Any fucking Airbnbs in Zimbabwe?
Should probably address the fact that no one wants to move there.
So where these let's just see. We'll go there. I believe the capital is Harare. So we're going to Harare High Density.
It's a phone, isn't
it? Why?
So I can get a 2-bedroom flat and apartment in Budariro, Harare High Density, for $20,000 or 500,000 Zimbabwean L. Don't know what the currency is now, to be honest with you.
Leaves.
Zimbabwean leaves.
Legs.
Fucking legs.
Oh mate, I've got like 50,000 legs. Les live here now, man. Away.
You stole my legs.
I put the deposit down 5 legs, and I'll pay you back 2 legs a month.
2.5, right? 2.5 legs. That's not bother. Right. So with that out of the way, do you want to maybe get into fucking today's topic?
Yeah.
Right, sound. So welcome to the Necrofancy Podcast. Today we're talking about our personal beliefs. I feel like it will be a good idea to set the benchmark of what we believe in going forward from now. See if anything really changes over the years. So the categories that I came up with were talking about UFOs and extraterrestrial life, ghosts and spirits, cryptids. There's one that Brad had, which was the role of religion and the belief of the supernatural / afterlife, which I'm actually looking forward to talking about, and possession and demons. So with that being said, do you want to talk about the first topic, which is UFOs and aliens?
Fucking right.
Oh, where do you even start with this one?
I mean, I suppose you just start with I fully believe that there's alien life out there.
Yeah, 100%. Did you see the recent UFO footage released?
Yeah.
What's funny that is, for years, everyone's hyped up on the idea because the government weren't releasing anything, and then as soon as they do, everyone's like, not asked anymore.
It's a lot of pitch bosh.
Yeah.
I just love that the world is so fucked right now, though, that the Pentagon released three clips of confirmed UFO footage.
Given the
and everyone is just like, right, but what about this massive, death rate we've got? Do we want to? I mean, that's cool and everything. Yeah, thanks, but
it's so funny that no one cares though. It's weird. It's like being a kid and not listening to what your parents say is the equivalent of the government releasing UFO footage and just being stubborn about it.
But I think it was because it was already leaked.
So it wasn't just here's something for you to talk about.
Yeah, it was more the confirmed that they don't know what the fuck it is.
Right.
Well, I mean, that's literally what a UFO is.
Yeah. I mean, there was the big claim by that guy who went on the Joe Rogan podcast and then released that Netflix thing that he worked in Area 51. And that was a hard one to prove or disprove because there was actual records of him working there. He did seem like a stand-up guy. But then there was no pictures or anything or any documents to back up what he was saying.
You can't really take pictures in a top secret government facility. So
you can't even when you're trying to get it in America.
Yeah. But even when he was describing it, did you listen to that?
No, I had no idea it existed.
Mate, he describes these vehicles they had, that they were working on, as just being something it sounded like it was from Halo. The inside was matter, and there was it wasn't on our elemental chart. And these were the claims he was making. and then he teamed up with a filmmaker who wanted to do a documentary on him, and then he was like doing the rounds, doing podcasts to raise awareness for this documentary on Netflix. But it was hard to pick apart.
Was he found dead in his apartment from an apparent suicide with 35 gunshots in the back?
No, weirdly enough, he's still going. So,
oh shit!
Yeah, he'll be dead soon, I imagine.
Oh
but
fuck
still,
yeah, man!
He's still kicking about. I can't remember the name of it. See if I can find it.
Remember, like, listening to something about
It was
someone who worked there.
It was really Bob Lazar. That's his name.
Oh, Bob Lazar. Yeah, I know Bob Lazar. Yeah. His name's brought up a few times on the last podcast that I listened to. They normally talk about Bob Lazar about, like, you know, when it comes to like extraterrestrial stuff like that.
Yeah, and a lot of it checked out. Like I say, a lot of it was official. He did work there. He is a qualified physicist. But then, like, even the words coming out of a guy like that's mouth of, you know, these like weird alien spacecrafts that no one's ever seen or heard of, it's just a bit far-fetched.
Yeah, because it kind of makes you think, like, well, maybe, like, if he's had no repercussions from this, like, maybe it's like a ploy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm not a fucking like conspiracy theorist. I'm not like that kind of person. But, like, you think of everybody who's, like, came out and talked about aliens and tried the best to do it, and they've been, like, you know, shamed by the government and stuff like that, and they've had like the reputation ruined. But nothing's happened to Bob Lazar, who claimed he worked at Area 51.
Yeah, he seems to have, like, upheld his reputation. I mean, the documentary apparently was absolute dog shit. Apparently, the podcasts he was doing were a lot better, because the documentary went into that, like, overly dramatic American voiceover territory. That same guy who voiceovers every top 5 UFO sightings. That guy.
Do you subscribe to the belief that aliens interfered with humanity, like in the ancient days? Like, you know, the ancient alien theory.
Yeah, I'd never ruled that out, but again, it's like,
personally, I don't. Like, I think, what's that guy called? He's on the Joe Rogan podcast. Graham Hancock.
Yeah.
I believe more of what Graham Hancock says.
Yeah, fully. Like, but it all depends on, like, what our idea of alien is, because when we think of alien, we always think of super advanced, like, able to build structures beyond our imagination, like spacecraft. But it could just be a different variation of a human. That would still categorically be an alien.
I suppose so, because it's alien to us.
If it was a separate species that did,
years ago,
like, live on Earth and was wiped out, that would still be an alien race.
Yeah.
I think we exaggerate it quite a bit, like, in a way that it's like wishful thinking. When you think of aliens, you think...
Yeah, because it's more exciting to talk about, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Some massive fucking alien coming down to flies frisbee about.
Like, I've got no doubt in my mind that alien life does exist within the vast, like, expansive, you know, outer space. Like, we can't be the only life form. Like, we can't have just happened to have been spawned on the right planet, the correct distance away from the sun. Like, there's no way that just, like, that happens.
That belief is just like bonkers when you look at the, like you say, the sheer scale, and also the fact that we don't have the capability to actually see outside of our solar system when it comes to actually, like, monitoring planets. We can see, like, what kind of atmosphere they have, but we can't see as far down as to
onto the planet.
You know? Yeah.
I mean, it's as well, like, we fucking years and years ago, no one could think we could fly, like, build fucking airplanes and that. So if you think, like, another life form out there is fucking more advanced, then it's not too far of a jump, is it?
I'm sure there was only like 50 or 60 years or something like that, around about that figure, like the amount of years between the Wright brothers' first flight and, like, the human race going to the moon.
That's just crazy, man. It's nuts. But then you think, is there a limit to what we can do with technology? Does it kind of hit a plateau and you can't go any further? Or does it just keep going? Does it just keep expanding and you keep going further and further?
I think it'll keep expanding, because, I mean, there's new things being discovered, like, all the time, which is such like an inane statement to make. Like, things get discovered, but like, I think with where we are now, the technology we have now and what we've achieved, we can look at that, maybe like try and use the same kind of methods we used back then on methods we have now and see what comes up.
But my point, I think, would be like, obviously when it comes to creating vehicles and stuff, we're kind of limited on what we can use as fuel.
Oh yeah,
to
fully.
create those things. So would it mean like discovering a new matter or something like that, or mining a new thing on a new planet, or
there's a thing called antimatter in there.
There's antimatter and dark matter, but I remember watching a video about it on YouTube at like 2 a.m. when I was blasted out my fucking mind. But it was something that it's really hard to trace and to even like identify what it is. It's more of like I think it's more of like a theoretical thing. Like it exists, but we don't know what it is or where it is.
Yeah. I think it was Brian Cox had a fascinating theory on AI and the role of AI in expanding like not only the human race but any sentient race, because AI is the inevitable result of that. So he said, if there was evidence of another human race out there in the galaxy, if it was to show itself, it would be through AI, because that's the process of it. It kind of reaches a point where you're so intelligent that you create artificial intelligence, and then that would go out into the universe and that would explore and bring back materials. So his point was, if humans reach that point of like space exploration, it wouldn't be them physically, it would be their artificial intelligence doing it for them. Basically. Which I think is where we're going, 100%.
Yeah, I'd say that's a fucking fair assumption.
Like when you look at what Elon Musk's working on, and not only is he working on getting to space, he's working on things like neuronet, like creating artificial brains.
Yeah, which it freaks me out a bit. Like,
that's alien.
So is that.
That's literally like that's as alien as it gets. Like creating a new race that, like, I mean, there's quite a few people that think it can live alongside us, and quite a few people who think it can't.
In terms of like actual like life forms and organisms that are out there though, like in space, there has to be, there has to be life. Maybe not sentient,
Yeah, that's another thing.
Sentient life like us, as in like, we're aware of our existence. We know, we're here. We're actively doing things. We work. We relax. We have fun. Stuff like that. But I believe that there is that out there as well. Maybe not within our solar system, but again, the absolute immeasurable scale of space.
Yeah.
That has to exist. We can't be the only thing out there in like the endless fucking void of space. Like we can't be the only life form to, be aware of ourselves and have like sentience.
Yeah, I think the probability of a sentient life form evolving opposed to just a natural life form is probably a lot lower. I mean, you just look at our own planet. It was like kind of in the age of our planet, there was a species before us that wasn't sentient. So there's proof of that. And there might be another species after us that either is or isn't sentient, but I think there's so many factors that go into it.
I mean, I suppose if like, and again, this is just me not being an expert on any sort of subject that isn't fucking Game of Thrones, but like obviously we evolved from something. Like, I assume back in the early days of Earth's creation, we were just like.
We're a single cell, I think.
We were just like some sort of single cell fucking organism. And over however many million years the Earth's been around, we've evolved to where we are now. So, I suppose, like, if there's organisms on different planets that have, single cell based existence at the minute, they could, hypothetically evolve into something. Not in our lifetime, or, any foreseeable future.
Ahead of our timeline type thing, yeah. I mean, I read a thing the other month, and it said that some primates have just entered the human evolution phase. Because they were studying, kind of how they were acting, and they found that they were using tools more proactively, and there was quite a few people making the case that they were to say, like, however many years ago that we started doing that, you put that forward into the future, and there'll be more humans around if they kind of stick to that line of evolution. But then again, if humans stick around, they're not going to do that because they won't have the expansion, because we'll be there to stop them.
Yeah, we're not gonna let anyone fucking top us over.
No.
As a fucking species.
You seen one?
I've seen Planet of the Apes. It's not good.
Yeah. God, they were fucking good films, that recent trilogy.
They really were absolutely spot on.
Especially the last one.
I didn't hold out much hope for them because Planet of the Apes, whatever.
Yeah.
And then I realised it was going to be a trilogy, and I was like, oh shit, okay.
Yeah.
So I've seen the first one, and I've heard and seen I've heard the rest of them are great, and I've seen scenes from the second and third, and they look fucking brilliant. But Sarah hates monkeys and probably won't watch them with us.
Oh,
fair. Wouldn't be great for her, I'm not gonna lie. It's probably better films to watch. But yeah,
I love monkeys.
Yeah, as far as aliens and alien life forms go, I fully believe that they exist. It will be, I think, in my opinion, it would be stupid to not believe in different forms of alien 100%. Life out there.
Just probability alone, I
mean, as well the different sightings, as well as loads of them won't be actual UFOs. Some of them have to be. Have you seen the Phoenix Lights?
Is that it's like a triangle above the sky Phoenix?
Yeah. It was 1997, and it was all these red orange lights.
Oh right, yeah. No, I haven't seen this before.
Formed in a V formation over a city called Paulden. Yeah, Paulden. It was about over 600, 700 witnesses.
Jeez. And
that ranges from the public, police officers, pilots, and military personnel.
Yeah.
And they're saying there was some reports that it was orbs, triangles, and or one giant fucking singular craft.
I feel like that's more terrifying. If it is an alien spacecraft, the fact that they're just little the flashing lights on planes.
Yeah. I mean,
if that's just one on a giant craft, to me that's more terrifying than the possibility.
Yeah, the most terrifying scenario for me is one coming down, just chilling for a bit, having a look, and then leaving.
Yeah, it's fucking. There was some of the reports were they said they're seeing a grey outline around the ship, the V formation, and it blocked out stars. One was going across the sky.
Fuck that. It's like a fucking it's like them giant fucking spaceships off Star Wars.
Aye. And it made no sound as well. Which is, I mean,
fuck that.
It kind of just proves it being a stealth aircraft, because stealth aircraft still make noise. They're only stealth because the shape of the aircraft blocks out radar signals.
Yeah, is that why?
Yeah. Obviously, you can't really have a quiet plane when you think about the engines.
That's fucking crazy to think. You forget we've got stealth aircraft.
Yeah.
Fuck. I'm just looking at them now.
What's the most famous one? There's SR-71 Blackbird or something like that.
Isn't it the one that Elon Musk just named his kid after? The
A-12.
A-12. Yeah.
I think it's the A-12.
I forgot what it's called. Nighthawk.
Kid's gonna take plane, pretend to be a plane around the playground to a whole new level.
Yeah, Lockheed A-12. But I'm sure the SR-71 Blackbird, it's the one you fly in Black Ops 1.
Ah, right.
Yeah, I think that was stealth Blackbird. Because it was high altitude.
It is
really close to the.
It's it flies above the radar.
God, it's mental, man.
And
if you look at it though, it looks like an alien craft.
Yeah, it does.
If you Google SR-71 now,
imagine,
it is
imagine being a remote tribe. They still exist out there, and seeing that.
Fucking shoot shit.
You know how that remote tribe called the Sentinelese or something like that off
Yeah.
the coast of India. Like they've been like just a remote village on an island, a remote civilization on a village on an island off the coast of India for like, you know, the last, I don't know, 10,000 years maybe. Could be a slight exaggeration, but you know, like for fucking time now. And they're still just like primal.
Are those like? There's been a few explorers try and get on that island, and they always get attacked. Is that the same?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, was it a
So
escaped convict?
Yeah, so they've got to the point where they just leave them alone. Fair play.
Yeah,
fair play.
There's a
Yeah. That's the way it should be, though. Like, it's preserving like a bit of human history that is amazing, and two, like, live and let live. Why should that's their land?
Yeah.
I'm sure there's still
What can we do
remote
with
tribes
that
in the
land that they
Amazon
can't?
somewhere. Like I'm fairly sure there was, like, there's been reports of like loggers and like forest workers in the Amazon when they've been like clearing spaces and that they've been like attacked and killed by like remote tribe members.
Yeah.
Sorry, fella, I was just destroying your home.
The same goes for like the Amazon, the El Dorado. The British explorer who went in there. What was his name? I can't remember his name, but they did that film where Charlie Hunnam played him. Oh,
No,
what's it
mate,
called?
couldn't fucking tell you.
I was thinking of Road to El Dorado.
Yeah, the cartoon, not that one.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't remember the name of it. That's annoying. Yeah, but he ventured in looking for the lost city of El Dorado, and just went missing, and they've never found him. He went with his son. They both went missing. Never found his remains. Never, like, nothing. Just gone.
Well, I mean, to be fair, they could have just like been bit by something venomous and died.
Oh, yeah. Have you seen the video of some dude like just standing around in the forest in like, you know, taking in the view and that? He switches the camera around to like the selfie mode. Right fucking behind him there's like a cheetah or a fucking leopard. Stop, like right behind him, ready to fucking gun for him, and somehow he survives.
Shouldn't be talking
Fucking
shit.
Fuck that. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, he could have just died in the Amazon being bit by something venomous.
The Lost City of Z. That's it. It's a good watch. It's really good.
And like again, like a cheetah or a big cat or, you know, a few like any other carnivorous like animals could have just completely devoured him. Like, how long ago was this?
Oh, this was like, I think 50s maybe. Wait, no.
No, well,
maybe
fuck yeah.
Way before that.
I mean, there's insects that can kill you.
19,
Yeah, exactly.
1905 it was. 1905.
No, well, fuck me. Yeah,
Yeah.
115 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, 115 years ago. Like, there's no way they would ever find his remains.
No, I think at the time, because he was in government, he was a proper government official, and he took like a team of people out there with
That's what they search for him.
Yeah, so he went out there with the intention of like proving that El Dorado existed, and he was like given permission by the government to go out there. So he went out there with quite a few people, I think, and like straight off ran into some indigenous peoples, went missing, and then they just could never find him. I think they did go out there with the intention of finding him at the time. But obviously the size of the Amazon, there was shit outlook to start with.
They're gonna fucking... You see some white fellas fucking... Hi people, you ever heard about cars? Fucking...
I don't think we have yet, have we? It's 1905.
What about horses? Do you know what horses are?
They're like pre-cars.
What you man? Eatable cars, aye? You got them?
So, yeah, as far as UFOs and aliens are concerned, I fully believe they exist.
Have you seen Arrival?
No.
Oh man, you need to watch Arrival. That's the best. I think that's by far the best kind of alien invasion. Well, not invasion, like kind of alien arrival film, I'd say. Similar to Close Encounters.
I don't know, Waterworld's
right.
got a mint soundtrack.
It has.
Yeah, well, the world has got a mint soundtrack, but it's, yeah.
But it's what's interesting about that is it's a completely different conception of what aliens would be and look like. Obviously, you've got the traditional, like, Close Encounters kind of alien. It's just this small little, what do you even call it? I don't know. Greys, is that what they're called? Yeah, greys.
Yeah.
There are different classifications of like alien like life. So there's the greys, which are the little small grey people with the big eyes. There's the oh shit, man, what are they called? Venusians or something like that.
Yeah, that rings a bell. Yeah.
There's also the Nordics. I think they're called Nordics because they're tall and they're like 7 foot tall. Blonde hair, pale, like look like a stereotypical like Nord.
Yeah.
And there's loads of different kind of representations of how aliens would look.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, Arrival's like really, really good with it in the way that it comes up with a complete new imagination. It's based off a novel, but the aliens are called heptapods, and they look a bit like what we were talking about last week, like colossal squids. But
I want to say if it's got pod, it probably will be somewhat squiddy.
Yeah, and there's 7 spaceships going to Earth, and they park up around the different continents, and it's mostly about how like human panic takes over and they don't know what to do about them. So they decide to send some linguistics experts to see if they can like work out this language that they're speaking, because they're speaking in like symbols, and they actually work out that they are there to help, because they have their time isn't linear for them. They can see kind of past, future, and present, and it's kind of its own way a gift to humanity to help them. But like, there's only a few people understand that once they figure it out, and humans being, you know, absolute shit cunts as they are, like trying to attack them.
Yeah, I remember hearing that theory that again, that aliens may see time differently, and that's how they may be so advanced.
Yeah, the way it was presented in the film was perfect, though. The way it dealt with the different like timelines.
When did it come out?
2016, I think.
Oh shit! Okay, right,
yeah,
cool.
I'll
see if I can find it.
Amy Adams and Jeremy Renner.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's fully worth a watch. It's really good.
I'll try and give that a go. I also heard a theory that like oh shit, I'm actually might be talking about ghosts, but I think it was about aliens as well, but they exist within a different plane. Like they exist within a different dimension of existence. So that's how they're able to like appear and disappear at a moment's notice, like they cross through a plane.
Yeah.
Or some sort of like dimension or portal or whatever into our realm and then just disappear. And that's why like apparently that's equated to that's like attributed to records of sightings where you'll see them in one area and then they'll dart to the next one and dart to the next one. It's nothing to do with how fast their aircraft is. It's to do with them essentially warping somewhere and like jumping from like space to space through dimensions and like stuff like that.
Yeah, that adds another layer of, like to it, because they could just solely exist on that plane.
Yeah,
knowing what we're like, or just like being unaware of our plane. Shit, that's crazy.
Right, so do you want to wrap the aliens up and move on to the next one?
Yeah.
Cool. So ghosts, didn't believe in them. Next one.
Why not?
Nah. I want to believe in ghosts because like I spent like a lot of my young years when I was in like primary school. We used to we had to take books out like the little library we had in one of the classrooms and take them home to read. Obviously, like to boost our reading skills and that as kids. And I was always drawn to like the big. I can't remember like the publisher or the company who made them, but there was like these big books with a white cover with loads of like pictures just pasted on there.
Oh, is it the DK?
Yeah, man. Yeah. So
a little book symbol on that.
Yeah, I would get them all the time. I'd get them all the time about like monsters and ghosts and cryptids and like hauntings and stuff like that, and aliens, and like it would blow me fucking mind as a kid. And obviously as a kid, like, you know, your imagination is a lot more powerful than what is like it tends to be more powerful when you're a kid than when you're an adult. But like I would always get like told off for getting them and not like storybooks. So hey man, I want to fucking read about ghosts, man. Fucking leave us alone. It's a good day with you. But like over the years, I'd lost my belief in them because it just doesn't. Like I lost my belief because it didn't seem feasible. But then I suppose because I wanted to believe, I started reading up on it and started seeing ways of how, you know, something to do with Einstein saying energy can't be created nor destroyed, so energy just exists. So when you die, your body will obviously decompose and turn into, you know, ashes and bones. But like your energy, your life energy, may live on. And there's a theory that ghosts and spirits are just energy, not like beings.
Yeah.
So it's just energy that manifests in a place, and you can tap into it, and you can like hear it and see it. And I don't know if it'll carry sentience with it or what, but I wouldn't say I'm a skeptic because I do want to believe, but I would need something to happen to me. I would need to experience something before I could, you know, completely change my belief. Because I suppose like I'm a ghost agnostic, I suppose.
Yeah, I could definitely get what you're saying. Like, I think I'm the same. There's that wishful thinking element of I want it to be true, because obviously you don't want to feel like you're losing your loved ones and then they're gone forever. You feel like you do want them to still exist, but then you have to like acknowledge a bit that is just wishful thinking. And fully, yeah. Like I would completely change my belief if I'd had a paranormal experience. Quote unquote paranormal experience.
Yeah, I think that's why I kind of believe more that ghosts exist. Because what happened to me on that school trip? Was, I don't know if you know, Brad.
No, you'll have to tell us what happened.
It was on the first episode.
Yeah, I'll briefly.
Oh yeah, go for it. I'm just telling Brad if you want to listen to it more.
Oh, right, yeah, cool.
On this trip to Stratford-upon-Avon, there was like a haunted house type museum place. And we went there after, well, it'll be like dark. And in this room, we're like in a circle. It was pitch black, but like some dude had a lantern. And while he was like going through everything, I had to wait for someone to come in. And to the right of me, there was nothing. There was like a fire exit. And you couldn't. Oh shit!
Is that one there?
I just went there. It's happening now. I went to like, I'm doing like the actions I was speaking. Like, you cannot reach out and touch anyone, or if you may right now, just smack a fucking bit of glass. And then I just felt like a really, bear in mind it's like spring, like hot spring, and I felt like a really cool sharp sensation on my neck, and then something brushed past my ankle.
Yeah.
Like quite high in my ankle, and then that fucking freaked me out, and I wandered out.
Fuck that.
And I sat up all night.
That's exactly what I think.
Yeah.
I think I could argue I've had a few experiences in my life, but then I've convinced myself out of them by saying, I mean, the first one I ever had was when I was a kid. There was a woman called me Auntie May who, she wasn't fully related to us, she was just a close family friend who died. And then like a few months after I was like in bed, it was like a school night or something, and I couldn't get to sleep, and then I turned over and I just felt like someone was just lying, looking dead in my face. But then as time went by, I'm just like, I was fucking tired, like I was a kid, I just made something up. Like I've completely like pulled myself out of the belief of it, whereas I feel like a lot of people, I think particularly people who are religious, like hold on to stuff like that.
Like, I mean, it happens to me sometimes now. I'll be so tired. Like, say if I've had like a really shit sleep and I'm awake during the day, and then I finally go to bed in the night, I'll be so tired lying in bed. I'll have like audible hallucinations. Like I'll hear people talking. Like it's nothing like, it's never a voice I don't remember. It's always like conversations I've had, or like just people's voices saying things. Like it's happened before where I've heard like after a day on Xbox with you back in the day, Brad, I would hear like your voice, like when I'm lying in bed, like
you cutie,
like thinking like, you know, I wish Brad was like took us in and that and held me and that.
That's for your dog.
Kiss your neck.
Teach them how to love. But I don't know, it's more like I'll hear a voice or I'll hear conversations, and I think it's because I'm so tired and I'm drifting in and out of sleep, and like me body's so tired and my brain wants to shut off. I'm hearing it as if it's in the room.
Yeah.
So I suppose, like, not because people are tired when they experience things, but like if it's at night and you're in bed, like that could kind of be attributed to that.
Yeah.
Like this is obviously my opinion, and I remember reading somewhere that so when you go into old buildings and they've got like plumbing in there, apparently the pipes in the building can reverberate at such a frequency that it causes the human brain to feel like to experience moments of panic and like terror.
Really? That's crazy.
Fuck.
I'm gonna Google it now. Pipe reverberation.
It's so easy though when you're scared to convince yourself of shit. Like when I think of the times that I've been more scared, I've 100% convinced myself there's like something there, or I can hear something or feel something. Like I think
I've just googled pipe reverberation fear because I didn't quite know what to Google, and now I've just found a lot of people are scared of pipes. But I found one here. Okay, so apparently it's an urban legend. Yeah, they tested it on MythBusters, which is a very credible area of investigative research. But apparently, if it reverberates at around 19 hertz, and it can produce feelings of discomfort, dread, and fear. But apparently, that's below the threshold of human hearing.
There's so much psychologically going on though, like you can you dig yourself deeper and deeper to the point where, like I say, it's so easy to convince yourself of stuff. So easy.
I feel like if you're going to go into somewhere like that, like a supposed haunted area, and you believe that ghosts exist, and you want to go in there seeing one or experiencing something, you're gonna you're gonna experience something because your brain is telling you to.
Yeah, well, people go into those kind of things with just the intention of finding something as well, and that's not a healthy place to start. Like, a lot of people go on ghost hunts with just, obviously you're going on a ghost hunt with the intention of seeing or hearing something. That's where the main interest is. But if you're not impartial, then, of course you're going to hear something, because it's going to be so, like, I think me mum and dad, when I went to this castle, and she was like, I could hear the floorboards creaking. I was like, yeah, because there was 16 years in a room.
Yeah.
I've been on 3... No, I think 4. I've been on 4. Well, 3 technically. The other one was just like a walk. But so I went to the North East Land, Sea and Air Museum. Like obviously the one near Nissan.
Oh, yeah, I thought that was the one you meant. Yeah, that's been rumored to be haunted for years, hasn't it?
Yeah, most haunted went there like in 2000s.
Yeah, they didn't find anything, did they though? When they went there?
Shite.
No.
I went there with my dad, his mate, and his mate's son. Fuck all happened. Like I volunteered to be left by myself. Well, look, like I was in a hangar, and other people on the other side of the hangar, and I was by myself in this like supposed haunted helicopter, which I fucking fail to see how that's even a concept. Like, like a Knight Rider helicopter possessed by a spirit. I fail to see how that can be fucking feasible. But anyway, I was like, does anybody want to sit in there by themselves? I says, I'll fucking do it.
No, it's not that one that flies over Hilton Castle looking for people in the Dean at 2 in the morning, is it?
No, that's just because there's rangings about in the Dean at 2 in the morning. So I sat in there by myself, just because I want my fucking money's worth. And fucking nout, mate. The creepiest thing in there was like a mannequin in there dressed up like someone who does like sea rescue operations and stuff like that.
Wow. Yeah, search and rescue.
Yeah, search and rescue. Yeah, I was like, well, that's pretty creepy because it's a human figure in here with us. But I realised like
that's why they put it in there.
It's a mannequin. Like, the fuck. And I could definitely knock its fucking head off if it moved. But like, yeah, the only thing that happened was in that hangar particularly was apparently there was stones being thrown. You could hear them; they were hitting off the metal of the hangar. But like, we're in a pitch black hangar, and there's like a gravel pathway on the way in to the actual museum itself. So I just didn't fucking put any of that down to paranormal experiences at all.
Apparently, one of my mates, he knows someone there, and he like went to him, like worked with him on one of them nights. And apparently, him and his mate were pinging rocks. So that's probably what it is. I double check and like let you know later on, but
yeah, I don't fully believe that at all. There was
I don't blame him doing it.
There was one thing that was genuinely creepy. So in one of the hangars, they have all of these like historical like train carriages and trams and stuff like that. And so we went on this double-decker tram. And we sat on the bottom deck at first, and we were like, I sat near the window. I think my dad sat next to the window on the other side, and we're like, I was just looking out the window, and it wasn't lit. You could kind of see people in there because you're in close proximity. But like, I kept imagining. I didn't imagine it. Was more of a thought running through my mind of shit. Like, what if I see something walk past this fucking window? Like, what if I say that? And then that made us like really like edgy and like fucking a bit panicky. And I realised like I'm doing this to myself.
Yeah.
Like I went in here and not wanting to say anything, well, wanting to say something but not believing in anything.
Yeah.
And
here's
that was
a weird one,
creepy thing.
because this is something I thought about a lot when I went. Is there's certain places in the world where you go and there's a completely different atmosphere. There's like a shift in the air and you can feel something. And there's not many claims of things happening in these places, but there's just, you'll probably understand what I'm about to say, Alex, because we went together. The first one was Auschwitz. When I went a couple of years ago, there's just, and everyone says the same thing. You walk in and the air just changes. There's no birds flying overhead. And even though there's no what you would call paranormal activity, there's just this weird kind of change.
There's a weird vibe about it.
Yeah, and I don't know whether it's purely psychological. I don't know if someone who had no knowledge of Auschwitz walking in there would feel the same. But the same happened, I felt, when we went to the Somme. Like,
I felt something, it was like heavy when we went to the battlefields, especially when we went to the to war graves and memorials and monuments. I felt like there was something like heavy,
strange.
But
isn't
again,
it?
I feel like that could be because we're in a place of massive historical significance that equated in the death of like God knows how many people in that specific area. Because like when we went to, remember that giant crater we went to? I think it was La Boisselle.
Yeah, that was crazy.
We went there, but I didn't feel anything there.
Nah, I didn't, because I didn't either. It was that little graveyard on the hill, and it was attached to the field of the Somme, which was, I think that was part of No Man's Land where we went.
Aha, I think I know what you mean. It was like a tiny grave off the side of the road.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah,
we got off the coach and went to see that, and it just, the air was like heavy. The field just had an aura about it, as if like it was it's indescribable. Like you just felt like there was death there.
So Rachel was saying when she went to New York, and they went to the Ground Zero Museum.
Yeah,
obviously where the 9/11 attacks happened. And in the museum, no one spoke.
Yeah,
I think that is because you don't really want to, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was like, do you know, she was saying like the atmosphere was just like, obviously, you know, sad and fucking.
But it's like an energy that you can't describe as well. Yeah. It was like, I mean,
but see, that's why I believe that. Or like I kind of believe in the fact that energy does exist out there after a person has died.
Yeah.
Because like, I don't really know how to word it, but like, I suppose it'll still linger. Like if someone has died there, their energy could be like there still.
That makes a lot of sense, because you can't. Yeah, what you're saying would mean that like there's a lot of like bad energy if it equates to how someone dies. Like if you die peacefully, then maybe there's no kind of this energy we're talking about where you go there and the air changes and.
Yeah, because obviously you go to somewhere like, you know, like the field near the Somme, that little graveyard, or the memorial that's dedicated to the soldiers who died when we went to Belgium and France. I suppose that could equate in, I suppose, negative energy because they died in a very horrific way. But then, like, if you think about the amount of soldiers from World War I whose bodies were never recovered.
Yeah.
And they were just left to, like, you know, be consumed by the earth, as it were. Like, that could equal to something. Like we went to the German graveyard.
Yeah, I forgot about that. That was
and that it was just nowhere near as like.
Well, they covered it in trees, didn't they? So there was no sunlight on the graves, which was horrendous. Like
it was nowhere near as well kept as the triple entente graves.
Yeah, but didn't the guy say that was the reason they planted the trees, was that so the sunlight couldn't get to the graves, because it was kind of it was a respect thing. It was to say, you've done wrong to our country. We're not going to let the sun shine on you.
Oh, I don't know. I don't remember that.
But
I remember just walking around there, and that was like fucking heavy. Because I mean, these guys didn't want to fucking be there.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ! But like,
yeah,
it was still just like fuck. Like there's just something about the place, and I imagine in Auschwitz it is like completely.
Auschwitz was probably the weirdest experience of my life, and like the context of it was strange. It was a stag do I went on with 20 lads to Poland, and we'd been drinking heavy the last night, and we woke up like, this is the worst idea anyone's ever had. So we all get there like 9-10 in the morning, and we're all instantly just fucking crying, like walking around just hugging each other and shit. Like it's one of them things you'll never ever be able to describe unless someone goes, you know what I mean? Like it's not something people want to see, but I feel like you have to.
I've always wanted to see it, but
yeah, Sarah went to the school.
Let's go.
Yeah, it's not an exciting trip, you know.
I would like to. I mean, obviously, I would love to go because of the whole historical aspect of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because I'm like a bit of a morose and fucking morbid motherfucker, I would like to go as well. But yeah, I imagine like the energy that you feel in that place, and this is not me saying like, you know, there's like energy around us and all that.
yeah.
It is like, you know,
got some crystals in the bath.
Yeah, man.
It's a new moon. It's a new moon.
I've put myself in these like special oils. Yeah, I imagine like when you go there, there's just like the atmosphere changes. And you can like.
The worst I've ever felt, the guiltiest I've ever felt, was just walking through the gates of Auschwitz after the trip and been like, yeah, let's go for another beer. I was like, that is fucking awful. Like, what gives me the right to walk out there and go for a beer?
I think they understand, because I think after what they've been through, they're like, I could use a pint. Fucking really use a pint after that.
Fucking hell, mate, more than one. It was so heavy. Like, the rest of the day was horrible as well. Like,
yeah, I mean, like, how the fuck do you try and like?
It was like the scene at the end of Lord of the Rings where they go back to the Golden Dragon and they just sat there with a pint. Seen some shit.
It's like that's better than going like, right. Disney World. Oh well.
Aye.
It's fucking.
Yeah, you have to reflect on it. You literally like, and I have since. It's been like 3 years, and I haven't really stopped thinking about the things you see. Like the most morbid thing I think I seen there was the glass cabinets with like possessions in them. So there's like a pile of glasses, a pile of shoes, which is like filled the size of say the aquatic centre. Like the swimming pool in the aquatic centre is just filled with a mountain of shoes. It's just awful. And then there's a pile of hair as well. It's disgusting. Yeah,
and I imagine so, man. But to wrap like spirits up and
I've got one more point I wanted to add, actually. This is on I forgot to talk about this. So I don't know if you have heard of this, but this was one of the things I read a few years ago, and it kind of summed up my beliefs on the whole paranormal existence. And it's a thing a guy started in 1964, I think, in America, where he was a skeptic, and he said, look, I want people to prove us wrong. Come along, prove us wrong under scientific conditions, and I'll give you $1 million.
Is it James Randi or something?
Yeah,
like that?
that's it, man. Randi, yeah. And that went till 2015, so it went for a long time. Like, thousands of people tried to prove it. And there was nothing. But I just wanted to read out a little quote from him, because he absolutely slammed someone. Where is it? Yeah, some guy came along and said, criticising his project, saying he always has an out. He'd never pay the money because he always has an out. And he came back and said, yeah, I always have an out. I'm right. It's some bullshit.
He's like, shit.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be a cruel twist of fate, though? If, like, see, is he dead or is he alive?
I think he's dead. I'll just have a look.
Yeah, I'll go to it now. James Randi. He's a magician, sorry, I don't trust him. Oh, she's still alive.
Is he? Oh shit.
Yeah,
He's 91. Yeah,
Shit,
man's still
good
going.
for him.
Be hilarious if he came back to prove his own thing when he died.
I was just about to say, like, how much of a cruel twist of fate would it be, like, if he died in his sleep, and then he wakes up the next morning, like, wonder what I'll do. Oh man, for fuck's sake!
Coming back to them Benjamins. He wants them. He wants that million in death.
Aye, ghosts are real. I'm one. Gives me money.
There's just a small print he put in his own contract.
Aye, I want ghost titties. I want ghost hookers. I want ghost blow. I want some ghost smack. I'm fucking doing it all.
Oh mate, how underwhelmed would everything be if you had all of that, but when you touched it, it was just hollow and your hand went through it.
Like fucking,
everything
like
existed as it is, but you can't do anything with it because it's just like hollow.
That's why I want to be buried with a telly, me Xbox,
me and you on Xbox for eternity.
a pack of brew dog, maybe a tenner bag. I don't know. Depends.
We'll figure it out later.
Yeah,
I mean that whole like you win a million. It sounds like fucking a weird version of Penn and Teller Fool Us.
Yeah,
you ever watch that? It's fucking lit.
Essentially, yeah.
Absolutely fucking great. I love that show.
But I think reading that, it was like the one thing I feel like I know about people that doesn't have to be proven in any capacity is that people will do anything for money and will go to the end of the world for $1 million. So for me, if that hasn't been proven over a 50-year period, is just that kind of speaks volumes. But maybe it isn't provable in scientific conditions. Who the fuck might say? Like maybe it's just one of them things that we don't have the capacity to measure yet.
I suppose so. I mean, like obviously ghosts again will exist on maybe a different plane of existence. So maybe you can't really measure it or experience it unless you. So you can't really measure it or quantify it unless you experience it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Or maybe you have to have like the right kind of. I suppose maybe you could tune into it. I suppose because like skeptics have probably never had one.
Yeah.
Like I mean, obviously there's skeptics out there who've never bothered to try and experience it. Like I've been out to ghost like haunted locations and trying to experience it, wanting to believe, going in with the mindset of I don't believe in it, but like I want to.
Yeah.
So if something happens, it could like completely change my mindset and change my believability. But nothing's happened.
Yeah. Me either.
Nothing's happened that I couldn't disprove.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I again to sum it up, I want to believe, but
that's a lot of people, and you have to just be honest with yourself. Like you have to take a kind of agnostic approach and say like, is what I believe something that is the best case scenario? Because the best case scenario is someone in your family dying and having the belief that
they're still there.
They're still there and stuff, and obviously that is comforting. But then, like, if you avoid the truth, it's just
don't get us wrong.
Does
like,
more damage than good.
If someone's listening to this and they still believe that, like, that is the case, then you know, like, whatever gives you peace of mind. I wouldn't be the one to try and like absolutely ruin your fucking life and say no, you're wrong. Like, they're gone. Like,
I'm not too bothered personally about like
if it gives you peace of mind.
Like,
if it gives you peace of mind and it helps you, you know, cope, then fine. There's worse ways to cope. Like, you could just turn to drink. You know what I mean? Like, if it helps you find peace of mind and it helps, like, get you a little bit of closure, good for you. Like, fair enough.
And I think people need peace of mind with their own belief that there isn't anything, like, after death, because that's what I believe. I don't think there is, but then people, like, suffer a lot of anxiety because of that. But then, for me...
Oh, yeah, it causes, like, massive existential crisis. I remember when I was, like, 6-year-old.
I've been through that like, massively over the years, but like one thing I remind myself of is like the universe is 13.8 billion years old, and I just get to chill here and make a podcast. Like that is like cool in itself, and that's enough. Do you know what I mean? Like to just enjoy life and be chill with it.
Yeah, just be at peace. Like be at peace with what's happening now, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what about cryptids? Where do you stand on the topic of cryptids?
I think there's a thing called the bunyip, and I think that exists.
I don't believe in Norman's reading abilities.
Yeah. It'll grow on you.
Don't worry, Norman, you'll adapt.
One of the 1,000 possibilities.
It provides content, so...
I think depending on the type of cryptid, I'd say it's feasible, like a Bigfoot or a deep sea cryptid. Like what we talked about last episode was where, like, obviously there's like the Mariana Trench. It's just like impossibly deep.
Yeah.
So there could definitely be something down there.
Well, what I got out of last episode was, I think a lot of the like category of cryptids that came up was they just kind of exaggerated, or could be exaggerated, fucking hell, versions of things that already exist.
Oh, fully, yeah, completely.
Particularly in in the ancient past, like for people to have that interpretation of something, they had to see or something close to the real thing first. Like for example, the Kraken was maybe just the initial sighting of a giant squid or a colossal squid turned into this, massive blasé story of a huge creature. Do you know what I mean?
It's like with the bunyip, it's like people who've never seen a fucking seal or heard a seal before.
Yeah.
And then if they see it from far away, they start filling in shit.
It's hard for us to understand because there's not much to blow our mind, because we're brought up knowing that all of these animals exist, and like there's so many nature documentaries out there. You can look up anything on the internet. Like, we don't have that effect of seeing something alien to us that they will have. Yeah,
I suppose so. I mean, to be fair, even if I saw a giant squid, like I said last episode, I'm of the belief that deep sea creatures are not of this planet.
Yeah.
Like even if I saw a colossal squid, like now,
yeah,
I would be fucking terrified.
Well, mate, I thought they were big. I thought, yeah, they're big. But then when I found out they were 50 feet, like,
there's no need.
When you look at things in water as well, I feel like they look a lot smaller because of how like vast.
It's got to have something. Yeah, it's got to have something next to it for scale, I suppose.
Yeah, if you take that out of the water, like I said, it's bigger than a double-decker bus standing up.
Yeah, fuck that. Absolutely double fuck that, like. But there's things out there like the Mothman I talked about. That there's no way that would fucking exist. Yeah. It's just like there's not a chance that would exist scientifically.
It's sort of like small town. Let's have something.
But I mean, like, there's always the thing that a lot of people saw it and a lot of people had witnessed it and experienced that. So there's that. But I mean, you've got to take it with a pinch of salt, because is it just like widespread pandemonium and wanting to believe in what they've seen?
That's a good point that Norm's just raised. Why is it always small town America? Like, we've like a lot of rural villages and rural areas in England, but we never hear of anything coming out of them communities. Do you know what I mean? Like, occasionally you
fair point. I mean,
the vast majority of claims come from like rural America.
The only like English cryptids that I can think of are like British Isles. Cryptids I can think of is the Beast of Bodmin Moor and the Loch Ness Monster.
Yeah.
And the Lambton Worm.
The Lambton Worm. Yeah. People know the Lambton Worms are fucking real. Hopefully.
I mean,
I hope there's not someone out there.
It's mad as stone, but yeah, the beast. Like the only ones I can think of is the Beast of Bodmin Moor and the Loch Ness Monster.
The Loch Ness is like hugely popular, isn't it? But
oh yeah, massively, man. Like, it's worldwide.
Yeah.
But like again, there's a lot of sightings. Like, the earliest sighting is from 565 AD.
Of the Loch Ness Monster.
Yeah.
Jeez. Fucking hell. I mean,
the next one is 1871.
1871. That was the next one.
Yeah, I'm just on the history part of Wikipedia. I'm not really putting research in now on the podcast, but
well, I've been to Loch Ness and I went all over Scotland when I was a kid. I used to go like 2-3 times a year, and I'd even meet people who would say shit that like they'd seen stuff. Like, so that's a claim that's gone on for like 500 years.
So I'm just reading here. The earliest report of a monster in the vicinity of Loch Ness appears in the Life of St. Columba by Adamnan, some fucking Gaelic name, written in the 6th century AD. According to him, blah blah blah, he counted local residents burying a man by the River Ness. They explained that the man was swimming in the river when he was attacked by a water beast which mauled him and dragged him under. They tried to rescue him in a boat, but he was killed. Columbus Center follower, who I'm assuming is the saint, Luignimoku Min. God, I hate the Gaelic language so much. To swim across the river, the beast approached him, but Columba made the sign of the cross and said, "Go no further, do not touch the man, go back at once." The creature stopped as if it had been pulled back with ropes and fled.
You shall not pass them.
Yeah, I'm not believing that one at all.
Nah.
But I suppose, I don't know how deep Loch Ness is. I'm assuming it is.
It just looked like a small lake when I was there, from what I remember. It looked like
it could be.
That wasn't even big enough to have a big monster in it.
It's 227 meters deep. That's max depth.
Wow, that's pretty deep, actually.
That's pretty, yeah. So, I don't know, maybe something would live under there, but I doubt it. I highly doubt that. But when it comes to areas like the Mariana Trench in the fucking ocean, in the Pacific Ocean, I fully believe that completely. And when it comes to stuff like, sorry, go on.
The sketches of Loch Ness monster, it kind of looks like that, like one of them swimming dinosaurs.
Looks like it looks like
Diplodocus
or the. I know what you mean.
There's a lot of people say it's just an eel.
I suppose, because you didn't really see. But then there's also reports of its body, like having a body as well, having humps on its back. Which I suppose could be like an eel swimming, and that's its body like writhing as it swims. I suppose so. Yeah, there's that. Yeah, I suppose there's that. But yeah, when it comes to stuff like Bigfoot, I believe that they could exist. In the uncharted wilds of the world.
Yeah.
There could be something out there.
Have you tell you about the Dark Watchers a bit?
You brought it up, and I do remember hearing about the Dark Watchers before years ago when I first came across the paranormal board on 4chan, but
they're like these fucking tall, I guess about 9 foot tall human-like creatures, and they're got brim hats that look really like.
What they're called?
The Dark Watchers.
I'm just imagining them as a film noir. Now, stood by the window smoking.
They're like.
yeah, it's exactly what they are. It's just Humphrey Bogart.
Yeah, it's just some sort of old detective. Oh,
yeah.
I like this though. I've just Wikipedia Dark Watchers there. The Dark Watchers, also known by early Spanish settlers as Los Vigilantes Oscuros.
Nice.
That's immediately cooler.
Yeah, there was a counter scene. Some dude dropped. It's based in California.
Yeah, it says here they're based in California folklore.
And this dude, in some trail or whatever, having a tab, and he looks up on a ridge and sees one of them got a rim hat, and he's watching him. So he waves at him. The thing waves back at him. He attacks a drag of his tab, blows out, and he blows smoke out as well. And then apparently it starts floating up, and then floats up even higher, and then he fucking bailed and fucked off.
Me,
guys. I showed
that guy's just had a blunt.
I showed the picture of one of them. It was in a cloak and a cowboy brim hat or whatever it is, and he was saying he recognised that, and he said when he was a kid, because he used to live in Wales, I think he said it was a gully, which is just a Welsh countryside, all these hills and that.
A valley.
And yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
And him and his mate came somewhere and seen one of them stood on a ridge, and he's like, I haven't recognised that in fucking years until I showed him a picture of it.
Oh. Seems a bit convenient.
It could have been a Welsh farmer. Just fucking
yeah.
Look at all this green.
Stood there talking about his lost dame.
All these hills that I don't own. Oh, 2 kids.
It's the fucking brim hat. Why the brim hat? Makes it so much less believable.
It's kind of Gothic. What's that? That paint, Gothic. American Gothic.
American Gothic.
It's that type of.
I've got you. So it comes from an art style, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, it says like early Spanish settlers as well, so I don't really know. Again, could just be like a different dimension of existence, and that's the form they choose.
Be people fucking about on stilts, freaking people out.
I mean, it's not unheard of for people to fuck with each other. To be fair.
Yeah.
True.
I'd do it.
But yeah, as far as cryptids go, that's what I believe in. What is it you want to talk about with the role of religion and the belief of the supernatural / afterlife, Brad?
I feel like we've been over it a bit with the like kind of talking about how most people believe in what they want to believe in. I feel like it's already kind of came up in general conversation of, particularly when people are born into families of a certain religion, and that kind of becomes a tradition, and people tend to believe what the parents believe in. And then it just becomes mostly a cycle of, like I was saying earlier, this wishful thinking of, like, the traditional Christian belief of the afterlife. Do you know what I mean? Like, they go to heaven, if you're bad you go to hell. That wishful thinking of, well, my, say, parent, for example, was a good person, so I know they're in heaven.
I mean,
when I was a kid, I used to like say prayers and shit in primary. Like the entire school used to say prayers and shit in primary school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking hell,
So by default, I was a believer in like heaven and hell, and well, not so much heaven and hell, but like, you know, being in God's grace in the afterlife and spending the rest of eternity in heaven with God and that. But again, as I got older, I kind of like lost the faith in it because I just didn't find it believable. Like I was never, I've never lived in a religious household. My parents aren't religious in the slightest. I don't think anyone in their family really was. Maybe the grandparents or like their parents, just because of, you know, it was like from years ago when people were more religious back then. But I just didn't find it believable because the thought that came through my mind was like, if you didn't believe in it, why would you go there?
Yeah, it's true.
Like there's no reason for me to believe in something because I want to go somewhere when I die.
Yeah. I mean, I'm reading a book at the minute by Jordan Peterson, and he talks a lot about like the role of religion versus what people actually believe in, and that the role of religion itself is still good to society and good to people, whether you believe in the physical description of things or not. Like, for example, like the whole physical idea of heaven or hell, whether there is a physical heaven, a physical hell or not, doesn't take away from the fact that you should still be a good person. You should still want to be a good person.
Oh yeah, but I feel like that's obviously just a moral thing. Like, I don't believe in heaven or hell, but I'm not going to go around being an absolute fucking monster. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but people discount like the Bible and Christianity and religions like really quickly, and kind of like, I think in a mostly like disrespectful way these days. Like, they kind of see religion as stupid when it's actually religion that put those moral things in place for a lot of people. Like, for me, definitely, like you were saying, I was kind of raised the exact same way that used to were like well, actually, I don't know your story, no. I don't know if your family are religious or not.
Oh, I was a Catholic.
But like for the most part, me mum and dad were like agnostic and went to school, said the prayers, said the hymns in assembly, and it's like it's conditioned into you a little bit.
Yeah.
But then as you get older, you become more detached from it the less you participate.
I mean, I was like a full-blown Catholic.
Really?
But that was because, like, that was with upbringing. Like, I went to a Catholic church. I done me communion and all that, and got confirmed into the church. And before you see it, no, nothing happened. I was an altar boy. But
there's safe space for you.
That's someone who's like massively defensive about getting diddled.
No, it's because I used to mock jokes all the time when I first found out about it.
I mean, that would do the same. But like, I only really done like that to please people.
Yeah,
which isn't a really good way of wording it, but like my mum was proud of us.
Yeah,
that type of thing. Like, I went to a Catholic school as well, but like past 10, when I was 10, I started like believing it less and less, and also getting bored of it.
Yeah. I think people are distracted for the most part from it. Like,
Yeah.
religion was like an
huge
ancient thing, wasn't it? Like, it took over most of your life. Now it's like there's so much shit to do. There's so much like for you to see, watch that becomes less significant.
There's a huge community aspect to it as well.
Yeah.
Because like, I mean, like before you go in, you're talking to people and all that. You're saying hello, everyone's friendly. Then at the end, the priest and all the people, whatever you call them, they'd leave first and then be out the back, out the front where people enter in, and then they all come out and then stop and chat to like the priest and that and all that stuff. And also like the thing about confession is it's kind of like a way to like outlet it. So like,
yeah.
like if you feel bad or something, like you I don't know, fucking punched a kid or something like that, you kind of feel guilty about. You can't really see it. Like you mate, you're like, oh, do you know, I punched a kid.
You'd say us, no. You can always tell us if you punched a kid.
They'd either laugh.
This is the new confession of this podcast.
I've said this before, Norm. Fuck, and I cannot stress this enough. Them kids.
It's hard.
Kids are dicks.
Should have picked on us. But it's kind of like you put trust in the priest.
Yeah.
Like a lot of boys do. But like you put trust into the priest where you can like, he doesn't show any judgment. Like he'll say, you say like, yeah, that's a wrong thing, but you kind of recognise it was a wrong thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right your ways and then say a prayer. You say like 12 Hail Marys and all that. Yeah. And you kind of felt good with it. It was basic when I went. It was like, oh, I wouldn't clean my room.
Take your pants off, Norman. What have we told you? Come on.
But like over time, I got bored of it and kind of like stopped less and less believing it when I was like getting into like shit like space.
Yeah.
And it's like scientific stuff. It's there.
That's the problem with religion these days as well, isn't it? That it doesn't teach you about the things, like the new things that people want to know about. Like, it hasn't adapted to talk about like, you know, the vastness of space, and it's like it's still very Earth-centric, and Earth's still the center of the universe in the Bible and Christian teaching. Whereas people today are brought up with science and they know that isn't necessarily the case.
Yeah. I mean, like, the argument I have with all religion stuff and people not having a religion is just leave people to do what they want. Yeah. Like, I hate when religious people are like forcing it down you, saying like, you're wrong, God is all fucking, you'll get to hell and all that shit, you should be, you know, believing in something. But at the same time, if you're like a atheist and that, and you're saying like, oh, religion's shit, fuck off and all that, just so like, good for you. If you don't believe it, move on. Let them. It's just like a bit of faith.
Religion has done a lot of good, and it's done a lot of bad.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like, I think they cancel each other out. I don't think it's done more good or more bad. I think it's just it's
same with science. Yeah. Science has done loads of
science has cured like diseases, but it's also wiped out
bad
cities.
Things, as Japan knows.
Yeah, like I just said there, like it's done good things for the world, and like cured disease, and it's also wiped out fucking cities.
Yeah.
And like brought forward diseases and plagues and stuff like that. So just like take both with a pinch of salt, I guess, on both of your approaches to what you believe in.
Yeah. I think the strangest, like, this is something I want to talk about, I don't know what you feel about it as well, is like, so when I talk about my family and say that they aren't necessarily religious, they still hold on to these like little kind of
superstitions.
Superstitions and Christian beliefs as a way of again wishful thinking. So a big one being that whenever someone in my family sees a feather, they just instantly interpret it as like a guardian angel or someone watching over them. When it's like it's
came from a seagull.
Like every time it happens, we're outside. Like it's quite clearly just a feather off a bird. Like chill.
It's Rachel's nana has that because her husband died in 2012, and it's a nice thing to hold on to because it's, I can't remember what it was, but it involved like a white feather just landing.
Yeah.
And she felt like, oh, that's Richard watching over us.
If it brings you peace, that and it's kind of like, if it brings you peace of mind, then it's kind of like, it's a healthy thing.
Yeah,
every kind of like
if it
important
gives you peace
event.
of mind, then
yeah. But for me, being objective, I just think it's very strange to believe that. And
yeah.
Because I think for most people, deep down, they know that's not true. Do you know what I mean? Or there's that inkling of, oh shit, I did see that bird fly past.
Yeah.
Yeah. But again, like, just believe what you want to believe in.
Yeah.
Like, just, if it gives you peace of mind and it helps you get closure, then good for you. Like,
but I think for all the criticism as well, I think we're at a point in time where that's the case more than ever. Like, you can believe in what you want to believe in. There's obviously going to be people out there who oppose you, but there's no... Well, I'm speaking to someone who lives in the West, lives in the UK, where we do have those kind of freedoms. Some people are not that lucky, but for the most point, we're at a point in human history where you can believe in what you want to believe in.
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose that's a liberty we take for granted as well.
Yeah. I think Christ fucking Roman times, I forgot what Caesar it was, but he didn't like Christians, so he turned them into fucking candles.
Was it Caligula?
Right, literally.
Well, Rome was rough. Rome was rough.
Was that the Caligula
that could be an
Nero,
episode.
I think. I'd be well game to do that. We should definitely talk about that. That would be fucking
100%.
absolutely sick.
Yeah.
There's so much to get into in terms of details, characters, like locations.
Just split up in parts. Do like an hour and a half a pop or something. I'm well game for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
But the last point I've got here is, which again I suppose ties into the role of religion and ghosts, is possessions and demons. Because personally, I think possessions are brought on mentally.
Yeah.
Maybe, and by mentally, I suppose again it could be psychosomatic or it could be an underlying mental issue, such as like schizophrenia or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm not an expert on mental health by any fucking shout, apart from anxiety and depression. Like, that's the only things I occasionally suffer from, but even then that's rare. It's like, I'm not an expert, but that's my belief. It's all in the person's head.
Well, I think the brain is like too complex for most people to even.
Oh, fucking
imagine.
Yeah, completely.
Bit of meat with electricity in it.
yeah. When you put it like that.
But like, I personally believe that, say if a family comes from a religious background, and like the case of, have you heard of Annalise Michelle or Annalise Michael?
Is that where the kind of horror film comes from, or have I made that up?
It's, I think the
sure
last the exorcism of Emily Rose.
Oh, the possession of Emily. Yeah. I'm thinking of another thing, I think.
So I'll just
thinking of Annabelle?
No, I was thinking of the possession of.
So I've dropped it in the chat
Emily
now.
Rose. Right.
So yeah, she was a German woman who went under. I mean, she was 23. She's the same age I am now. She went through Catholic exorcism rites. I think it was a year before she died, and she was diagnosed with epileptic psychosis and had a history of psychiatric treatment, which wasn't effective. Which again is the case a lot of times. Psychiatric treatment isn't always effective because again, the human brain is very fucking complex. And without doing her down full of drugs, I suppose that wouldn't have, done anything. But she was 16 when she had a seizure. And she was diagnosed with psychosis caused by temporal lobe epilepsy, which I'm assuming is just epilepsy that attacks the temporal lobe in the brain, which I think is the front, but I could be massively wrong. Shortly after, she was diagnosed with depression and was treated by a psychiatric hospital. And by the time she was 20, she'd become intolerant of various religious objects and began to hear voices. So that could be an underlying case of schizophrenia. It could be brought on by the psychosis she was suffering from. But it also says that she and her family became convinced she was possessed by a demon. I'm not entirely sure how heavily religious her family was. But you know, if you're of a mental state where you have like psychosis, which affects the way you perceive the world, and your family and you were saying, yeah, you're possessed by a demon, like I fully believe you're possessed by a demon, you're going to believe you're possessed by a fucking demon.
Yeah. I think it's films and different forms of media that have probably contributed to this more than anything. Just because I think people are deeply interested in like evil and horror, and like people are quite like twisted in that way that it's like perverse, isn't it? Like wanting to watch things like, there's nothing wrong with it, but it is kind of like this niggling like love of all things evil if you want to watch things like The Exorcist, and that's what's so fascinating about them.
Well, it says here that our classmates described her as withdrawn and very religious. So but yeah, Annalise Michael, I'm not too sure the pronunciation, she was she was subjected to Catholic exorcism rites, and she by the time she died, she weighed 68 pounds. She was massively dehydrated and massively malnourished, because she was pretty much in a starvation state for almost a year while she was getting exercised.
I just saying 67 exorcism sessions.
Jesus. Literally. I think for the most part as well, it's like you're just a product of what people tell you and do to you, aren't you, really, in them kind of scenarios. If people are going to sit you down every day and tell you something's wrong with you and try and like exercise these demons out of you, like there's probably a part of you that gets convinced that's true.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the that still happens in those weird like Southern American churches where like they'll go and the pastor will like blow the demons out of them and stuff. It's like
smack them.
Gee, like.
But
it's
even
just
then,
this mob mentality thing. Like, there's a lot of people in that room who believe the same thing. You're going to be subject to that belief.
That's just like blind belief and shit like that.
Yeah.
And like again, nothing wrong with if anyone is listening is religious. Like, I mean, I'm saying that in the belief that people outside of our friendship group won't listen to this outside of obligation. But like, if for some reason you listen to this and you are religious yourself, that's completely fine. Like, believe in what you want to believe in. Like, I don't care. Like, do what you want to do. But
yeah,
it's when it gets to that stage of where you're so devoted that you believe any sort of affliction a human being may have is brought on by an evil force. That's when it starts to get like, just take a fucking breath and realise how silly that sounds.
I'm not listening anymore. Like,
I mean, cause
that's when I checked the fuck out.
Fucking killed her.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean.
Like,
there was a trial and everything. There was a full trial about it in the prosecution.
Yeah.
The charged our parents.
Fucking 4 hours.
Jesus Christ! They charged our parents with negligent homicide. Our body was exhumed and tapes were played to the court of the exorcisms over the 11 months which led to our death. Jeez. The parents were defended and the lawyers were sponsored by the church. The state recommended that no involved parties be jailed. Instead, the recommended sentence for the priest was a fine, while the prosecution concluded that the parents should be exempt from punishment as they had suffered enough, which is a criterion in German penal law. Because fair enough, I suppose. Like, it's hard to try and judge a case if it's brought on by someone's religious beliefs and it isn't inherently harmful. I mean, it is inherently harmful, but it's not like widespread harm.
Yeah, like it's not. Like,
again, an instance would be, and it's the stereotypical thing to go to is like Islamic extremists. Apparently, they believe that they've got to do that for the glory of their religion, which is complete fucking horseshit. Absolutely ridiculous. But when it comes to stuff like this, where it's within the family and they think, she's possessed by a demon, they fully believe she's possessed by a demon, then fair enough, because they have suffered and it's led to the death of our daughter.
Mm-hmm. So, like,
fair, but, like, still, even then, like, just fucking realise that. I suppose it's due to, the lack of understanding of, like, mental health and mental illnesses at that time, because I think it was 73.
I mean, when you think of how much that's came on just in recent
76.
times, is
exactly
exponential on it. It's
completely
like,
yeah.
In me MVQ and that, what I've been like reading to work on, it's like we've only recently started accepting, pretty much started accepting people like with autism, learning difficulties, mental health problems. We've only started accepting them into societies because
This is
people like that used to be in institutions where they were just literally put there. Some of the stories that came out in institutions are.
I've read one. I think it was called Waverley Hill Sanatorium or something like that. There was people in there who just had they had varying degrees of autism, from like mid-level autism to like severe autism, where they were like non-verbal.
Yeah.
They would just hide in a fucking rickety old building that had that was massively overpopulated, and they were just left there because they didn't know what they were doing. Like back then, you just thought, they're a fucking they're disabled, they're a fucking idiot, blah blah blah. But now it's it's so good to know that there's tests, there's testing in place, and you can say it's just there's something wrong. This is how you should go about looking after your child now with this in mind, and it's fucking great.
I mean, the people, I'm a support worker, and I work with these type of people. It vary, the conditions vary.
Yeah.
But the people,
yeah. And I mean, if you take them people out of society, historically, like you say, kind of not letting them live a life.
Yeah.
What kind of people are you willing to take out of society? I'm just looking at a list of famous autistic people or people on the autistic spectrum.
Fucking Albert Einstein.
Einstein, Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Stanley Kubrick, Sir Isaac Newton, Mozart, Tesla. Is it worth taking those people out there just because they have a different kind of way of interpreting the world, when they are not always, but traditionally can bring so much to the invention and creation and stuff like that. It is associated with a higher intelligence all the time. It's not. Yeah, that can be true.
I mean, as well as that, they've got a role in the community. Some people I take out, they talk to people.
Yeah.
They have a good crack on with people at the shop.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And it's the people, but the way they were treated back in the day was fucking disgusting.
Yeah.
Especially going back to fucking medieval times. They were pretty much executed straight away.
Yeah.
Fucking just crazy shit happened to them. And
but then
as well, Nazis done that as well.
Yeah. That's why science is so important, because it sets the benchmark of what isn't acceptable in society. Because if you've got it's easy to look back and blame people and label them monsters for killing people like that, or institutionalize them and stuff like that. But then you think they have no knowledge of that condition, and they don't necessarily know the right way to go about it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Not saying what they did was right, but it's you're only as good as your understanding of something, and that's the only way to determine how to act.
I mean, when it was
not to defend what they were doing by any stretch of the imagination, but it is, again, you're only as good as your understanding.
Yeah, absolutely.
With what you just said.
Is when they executed people for being a witch.
Yeah.
Or practicing dark arts.
Yeah, that goes. It gets deeper the more you look back as well. Like you say, with witches and the dark arts and stuff. If you're convinced that's real, then you're obviously going to have that bias, and you go as far back as to the Roman Empire and the magic they believed in. They believed that the stars were cracks in the celestial sphere, cracks in heaven, so the light could get in. It's
I mean, with people who were deemed as witches and stuff, they were basically kind of chemists and that. They
were cool when it wasn't cool to be cool.
Yeah.
They were the grooviest, fittest, most dangerous bitches in that fucking village.
Yeah, they're just 400 years too early to Tumblr.
No one could get down with it.
If you go back in time and you take a phone, an Android or an iPhone, you'll be killed.
Mate, 100%.
Because
I'd scare
the fuck out of him. If I'm coming at Julius Caesar with Snapchat, he's gonna fucking lynch us.
I can take paintings and moving paintings with it. I can find out about you straight away.
Oh, do you want to listen to some music? 2 minutes later, just beam the signal to a satellite in outer space and back down within, like, you know...
You've got a fucking tiny concert in your fucking phone.
Less than, like... I don't even think it's conceivable to think of the time that it takes to play a song on your phone. That signal be sent up to a satellite and back down into your ears. Like, the fuck?
Yeah. Then you'd be deemed as a fucking... The witch or a wizard?
It could go the other way, though.
No, warlock, sorry.
God.
Right, so I think we'll end that one there.
Yeah.
Shit, we got into it there.
Yeah, good chat there.
Fun episode when you didn't have to do any research.
Fucking hour and a half, jeez.
And,
at least it wasn't me fucking painfully fucking shit.
It's an improvement, yeah.
But yeah, man, thanks very much for listening to this episode if you have, and see you next episode.
Alright, catch you on the flip side. See you in a bit.